Hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, I guess, depending on where you are. Here it is morning in lovely Canada, so pretty early here. And we are going to do a crossword together. So welcome to the stream. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. Yeah, so if you don't already know, my name is Axel from Get Speaking English. And like I said, yeah, we're gonna hang out here. We're gonna do this crossword today. You're gonna be able to participate. I am live right now on Facebook, on Twitch, and YouTube as well. I believe the addresses are at the bottom of the screen, so you can go to either of those three places, and you are welcome to hang out with me and help me complete this crossword. So yeah, so it is an interactive activity. You're going to be able to follow along, share your answers if you think you know what they are, and I'm going to use that information to complete this crossword. So I am going to take a couple of minutes to explain how this works. If you have played before, though, and you already know how it works, take a couple minutes to write me in the chat. This is my daily speaking prompt. If you don't know, I have a channel on Telegram, also I share them on Facebook and Instagram as well, where I share a daily speaking prompt. Anyways, this is today's speaking prompt. So, let me know what makes a good online community, in your opinion. So take a couple of seconds to answer that. If you already know how this works, I am going to explain it. And I have I have better notes today. So if I can figure out how to do them. I think. There we go. All right. I changed things a little bit, and now I'm like unsure where the buttons are on my my streaming program. Anyways, this is how this is going to work. So like I said, it is an interactive thing. We're going to go through it together. Can you see? You can't see. All right, we're going to go through the crossword together. What's going to happen is I'm going to lead the conversation. I'm going to give alternative clues, definitions, maybe images sometimes, and I'm going to hopefully help you get the answers. So when I see the answers in the chat, either on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, I will put them on the board and we will fill out the crossword that way. So, but a couple of rules. So my number one rule is, well, no cheating for starters. So I know that we could probably do a lot of Googling. There are even websites dedicated to having the answers to these crosswords. We're not going to use that. We are going to use our brains instead. I think that we'll be able to figure out the answers without needing much help. So please do not use the internet unless I tell you to. Second rule is please follow the conversation, so don't rush ahead and start throwing out answers to things we haven't talked about yet. Basically, don't ruin it for other people. Also, too, if you happen to be here and you are a native English speaker, please know that I am doing this activity for people learning English as a second language. So we are going to take our time and maybe discuss some alternative vocabulary, phrases, things that come up along the way. So please be patient if you are here and you are a native English speaker, because the answers will be easier for you, obviously. We're going to take our time, so don't ruin it for people. Also, finally, please be nice to one another. So let's create a nice, friendly learning environment. Let's be nice to each other in the chat. Let's be nice to me as well. I am only human. I am human. I make mistakes. And sometimes too, I am not using the internet for these answers either, so sometimes I make mistakes as well. That will happen. And then there is some information specifically about this crossword that's really helpful to know before we go. So for starters, it's an American crossword, so that means a lot of American spelling will be used unless otherwise unless indicated otherwise. So some examples of American spelling versus British spelling, for example, you know, they will use OR in words like favor or color or savior, or savor, whereas they will use OUR in British English. Also, words like realize, commercialize, modernize, socialize, those all end in an IZE in American English, whereas they would end in ISE in British English. There are some differences in the past participles. So, for example, American spelling favors like the ed ending. So, like learned would be spelled with an ed at the end, or smelled with an ed, burned with an ed. Whereas in British English, they tend to use t's in those same words. So, learned will be learnt, smelled will be smelt, burn will be burnt, for example. And also too, you know, like er. I don't think you can see that. All right, because it's not on the screen. Anyways, so some examples of the differences. Also, too, because this is an American crossword, a lot of the trivia will be about the United States. So that is important to kind of keep in mind. But luckily, the majority of these questions are going to be about language. So we're not going to have to worry about trivia. So most of it will be about English language. It's also good to know that the answers are always the same type of word that's used in the question. So for example, if there is a plural countable noun in the question, there will be a plural countable noun, or maybe not a plural like a countable noun, but a plural noun in the answer. If there is a verb that's conjugated, maybe in a past form, then the answer will also be a verb conjugated in the past form. Abbreviations will be abbreviations, things like that. So that's handy to know. And I need to make this little thing smaller. But anyways, it's also important to know that multiple answers or multiple words are okay. So it won't tell us when there's a multiple word answer, but hopefully I will be able to identify that and I will let you know. So phrasal verbs are welcome. Sometimes they're common little phrases, or there'll be little parts of sentences, things like that. So that will be possible here. And also too, it's kind of important to know that some of this language, some of the things we'll be learning are not going to be useful in real life. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller, so you guys can see the end. You guys can see the whole thing. You see, the size of my slides are not quite compatible with the size of the window I'm using to do the crossword. They were a little bit different. Okay, there we go. I think you can see it now. So some of the words, some of the things we're going to review are not going to be useful to you in real life, okay? So sometimes there are very like old-fashioned, archaic words that show up in the crossword that we would never use in real life, or they'll be really, really formal. Also just kind of rare words as well too. Sometimes they'll be used in the crossword just because they're very convenient crossword words, but we wouldn't necessarily use them in real life. So I will try to let you know if something is not useful in real life. But along the way, we will review a lot of useful language. All right, so let's get back to it then. If I can get back to the right screen. Gosh. Okay, there we go. All right. So, and just a heads up, so I've already looked at this a little bit today. It doesn't seem too difficult. So I know sometimes, usually on the weekends, it gets kind of rough. But this was pretty good. Actually, I did it yesterday too. It was pretty easy, so we might do that one on Saturday. But anyways, yeah, so let's give it a go. Like I said, I'm going to give clues, alternative ways of thinking about the question, images, and things like that along the way, and hopefully we will be able to figure this out together. All right, so first one here, we have a steakhouse choice. So steakhouse. So if you're not sure what a steakhouse is, well, a steak is basically a cut of meat from, basically it's like a cut of meat. It's beef. So basically from a cow, essentially. I mean, typically you can have steaks from other things as well too. but that a steakhouse is basically a place where you would primarily eat steak. So lots of beef, basically. Meat and potatoes. I'm just gonna get us a really quick picture here so we are all on the same page. Here is something, sort of something that you might get at a steakhouse. So there you go. We can see we have the steak, a side of mashed potatoes, and a side of what looks like some grilled vegetables, something like that. So that's what we would get something in a steakhouse. And then we also have this game color. Okay. And then that's trivia. Okay, so it looks like we're looking for a type of steak. So we'll get to review some of those in a second. And a game color. So a game color here, this is a reference. This is a sports reference. So a game color, and somebody who calls something in the game, basically, they call if a play is good or not. So basically they will determine if what happened in the game is good, if it can maybe count towards a goal or whatever they're doing, or maybe it's not good, so it gets disqualified and it is not good. Yeah, so we're basically looking for the name of the person that would basically call the shots in a sports game. So if you have an idea of what that might be, that person might be, let me know. I will give you a hint as well too. This is a short, this is the abbreviated name for a longer word. All right, so an abbreviated word for a much longer word. And I'm going to get a picture. So I know often we have, there's one specific person in baseball that would essentially call the shots. He kind of hangs out behind the what's the batter? Not the best. But we have, you know, this guy here, right? That is a caller, a game caller, but I think we're looking for the other guy. Dude in a, like, typically wears like a black and white striped shirt in games such as basketball or soccer. And they essentially call the shots. I guess maybe not always the striped shirt, but that's definitely what I think about. I think it's like kind of like, just getting a picture here. So many funny pictures coming up. So maybe this guy? I don't know if you can see this guy here, but I think we're thinking about, yeah, these people. Here are a couple other shots here. This is from like an American football match, I think. But yeah, these people would essentially call the shots in the game. They would basically say if a play is good or bad. Anyways, this is the referee. And so we would call it the ref for short. So I think this is going to be ref here. So we're going to put that in here. All right, and then we're going to move on, I think so. So war away. All right, I think we'll be able to get this actually. So war, so if you remember the rule that the word type used in the question will let us know what type of word to use in the answer. So we can see here that we have the past form of this word, right? So we have to wear, right? Wore, past form, worn. So we can see here that, so we're looking for the past form of whatever this verb is going to be. So if something wears away, to wear away, to wear something away, it basically means that it kind of goes away over time. Maybe it deteriorates over time. And I think here specifically, they're thinking about like land wearing away. maybe at like along a coastline or something like that. I'm just gonna get like a really quick picture here. Oh, you know, maybe even this here, we can see here that there's like this image. This is pretty drastic. This is a lot more drastic than what I was thinking about, but... Or maybe this one's a good one, actually. We can see here over this picture how the coast is getting worn away over time by this body of water here. So I don't know if that's like the ocean or a lake or something like that. But yeah, we can see that it's getting worn away over time. So we're basically looking for an equivalent word. We can see that it starts with an E. And it's going to end probably in an ED. So if you think you happen to know what that is, put it in the chat. If you can envision what that word is going to be, let me know. Basically the land sort of being taken away over time. So I think this is going to be eroded. So eroded. I had like too many things. But yeah, so eroded. So something eroded is worn away over time. And if we're wondering too, the noun form is erosion. Erosion, there you go, erosion. Yeah, so getting eroded over time. Yeah, so we would say something gets worn away, wears away. Okay, let's see here. So a lot of like little random trivia things. I think we can do this one. Okay, so we can see here, so fixes a copy. Fixes a copy. We can see that we have an S here in this verb. So there's probably going to be an S here. So fixes a copy. To fix something basically means to, you know, correct the mistakes, right? I think basically this copy here, this refers to something on paper. Refers to, yeah, so this refers to maybe like the draft of something. So basically so copy refers to writing something on paper. So maybe here fixing a, you know, piece of writing, for example. So you would go through, you would make those corrections, right? So we're looking for a word that means that, to go through, oops, make some corrections. So a word we might use for basically fixing writing. So, and I'm sure you all do this all the time. Especially because, you know, we're always writing, right? We write a lot, especially when we are students, right? We're always writing essays and different tasks and things like that, right? You would never hand in your first copy, right? You would never hand in your original copy. You would usually read it over again, and then you would make some corrections, right? Maybe you would do that a couple of times, and then you would hand in your paper, right? So I think the verb that we're going to use for this is going to be edits. So fixes a copy is going to be edits. So let's put that in here. Edits. All right, so that's going to be for fixes a copy. And let's see what else we can do here. Okay, let's do this one. So this calendar span. So calendar, obviously, I think is pretty obvious, right? Like for the dates, right? And when we talk about something like spanning something, we mean it like going from basically one point to another point. So here's a calendar. And something that's, you know, something spans. It goes from one point to another point. So usually we might use it for like a bridge, for example. We might say that the bridge, see if I'm gonna get a picture. We might say that a bridge spans from one side to the other. So this bridge spans from one side of the river to the other. But here we're talking about like what, like the span of time that would be in a calendar. So we're looking for the span of time, or basically the duration of time. So we're looking for, yeah, the duration of time in a calendar, basically. So we have something, 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 something. So if you think you might know what that would be, let me know. So we're thinking about the calendar. Certainly there are pages in the calendar typically that might be dedicated to the span of a month, for example, right? Some calendars may even be divided up into, maybe not calendars, but agendas or planners might be divided up into weeks, right? So there might be views of a span of a week, right? But if we think about like the whole thing, we could probably say that a calendar would be the span of a year, right? So I'm gonna put that in here. Let's put that in here. And maybe let's go, yeah, let's go back here because this is all trivia. Let's go back to the steakhouse choice. So let's talk about cuts of meat, I guess. And I'll be honest with you, I am not the best person to talk about steak with because I do not eat steak. Well, let's see. Let's get a picture here. Yeah, so here's a couple different pictures, like the different types of steak I suppose you could get. Right, because different cuts, like steak from different parts of the cow, or different cuts of steak, we say a cut of meat. They'll all have different names and things like that, right? So depending on where it came from, it'll be a different cut. So if you know any names of cuts of meat or any types of steak, let me know. I know that there's some really maybe famous ones, like a T-bone steak, for example. Like a T-bone steak. Is it this one? I don't even know because I don't eat meat. So I'm not 100% sure which is which. I'm not the best. But there's like a T-bone steak, for example. Also like a filet mignon. That is a very common fancy one. A filet mignon. I don't know if I said that right. Filet mignon. Yes. It's a filet mignon. Yeah, I did good. Filet mignon. And this one is considered very, very high quality, very tender cut of meat. Here's a couple different other options too. So we can see here, coming from the different parts of the cow, right? So from like that shoulder, you'll have maybe like a chuck roast or like a flat iron steak, I guess. We have from the brisket, kind of also from like the lower shoulder portion here, so a beef brisket. We have the skirt steak, which basically comes kind of from like the lower rib area. And we have the flank steak, which is kind of more back towards the hip on the underside of the cow, right? So flank steak. We have the rump, a rump steak, or maybe you would have like a rump roast. I know that's not a steak, but rump steak here. So the rump is kind of the back sort of hip area. And filet mignon also comes from that area, right? Sirloin, I guess looks like it comes from like the hip area. Strip loin, kind of up there as well. Porterhouse steak. Yeah, we have the T-bone, I guess that comes in here too. And then we have ribeye. We have a ribeye steak. That also comes from the rib, sort of the upper area. So that's a ribeye steak. So let's look at these options. Let me know if you think one of these fit here. Obviously our answer starts with an R. So, you know, basically rump is our option, or ribeye is our option here. And we can also see we have an EY here as well, too. Hi. So it's probably going to be ribeye. So a ribeye steak would be an option of a steak you could get at a steakhouse. All right. So here we go. We got a ribeye steak. I'm just gonna put some of this in here because some of this is like trivia. We're not here to do trivia, but I think this one's Ira or Ira. I don't even know. I'm guessing this name is Bob because that's like very common, kind of a very common name that starts with a B-O. I'm not 100% sure, but let's try that. Ryder Ferber. I think this might be Edna. So let's like try it. I don't know. All right, and then like Hamlet. Not that could be like tragedy or something, but I don't know. Okay, let's go someplace else. Let's see, what else can we do here? Okay, let's do this one really quickly. Okay, so again, inquires. So this is a verb. We can see that there's an S here, so we're gonna put an S here as well, so they match. If you inquire about something, you basically try to get more information about something. So if to inquire about something means that you try and get more information about something. And usually you do that by asking or talking to somebody about something. You do this by talking to someone about something. So we're basically looking for like a synonym for this here. And I'm gonna say this is a very extremely common word here. One that we would use for, yeah, basically for questions, right? If you're gonna inquire about something, you know, you have questions that require answering, right? Yeah, so if you think you know what that is, very common word. Inquire, very, very common word, and let me know. So if you think you know it, put it in the chat. So again, so we're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube as well. Feel free to put your answers in the chat. The addresses are at the bottom of the screen, so you can play in any of those places. I think this word is going to be asks. So we would ask. So basically, if you ask something Or you inquire about something, you ask about something. So let's put that in here. A-S-K, so asks about something. And I want to talk about this word really quickly. So to inquire, this is the American spelling. So this is the American spelling of this word. Whereas in British English, it would be inquire, well, same pronunciation, but they would spell it with an E. So that is one little thing to be aware of. The spelling is different depending on which style of English you are using. But yeah, it just basically means to ask for information. So same meaning in both places, but the spelling is like a little bit different. All right. I think we could do this one. So this mole, and then we have an e.g. So for example, so this is a type of whatever this is, basically what we're saying. So we have something. A mole literally is an animal that digs, that lives underground. They are blind as a result. These kind of like these ugly little guys that live underground. Well, maybe you think that they're not ugly. Yeah, so this is a mole, right? Lives underground. But we're not talking about animals here. This question is not about animals. And I'm off the screen. There you go. This question is not about animals, though. This question is about something else. This question is about a type of a person. So a type of a person, maybe a type of person that would work with the police, maybe, to get information from something. And then they would do this in secret to get information in secret, basically. So, yeah. So somebody who might work with the police. Yeah, so you see the answer on YouTube. Hello, Adriana. It's good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, so we have the answer on YouTube. Let's see if we can get it anywhere else. Yeah, basically like a secret agent, right? Agent, or maybe an informer. But yeah, spy. Spy is going to be that person. So spy, so a mole is an example of a spy. They would work with maybe the police or something and try to get information by sort of, you know, sneaking around or whatever like that. Yeah. All right, perfect. And let's do this one. So young one, you can see it starts with a K. I think we're talking about young humans here. Cause like I can think of a couple words that start with K that we might use for animals as well. But I think here specifically we're looking for a word that refers to a young human. So that starts with a K. It's a little bit informal, right? So a very informal way of referring to a young human. See it on YouTube. Let's see if we can get it anywhere else. Very common word. It's a good one to know if you don't use it, if you don't know it already. But I would advise against using this word if you're doing any sort of formal writing. So if you are writing an essay, for example, especially for something like a IELTS essay or a C1 advanced essay, we would not want to use kid in an essay. However, if you were writing an informal letter or something like that, using a word like kid... Oh, I just gave it away, didn't I? Anyways, kid is the answer. Yeah, using kid in an informal piece of writing would be a great way to demonstrate that you understand the difference between formal and informal writing and what language is appropriate to use for both. Okay. Anyway. All right, great job. Let's see, what else do we got here? So we have a brisk pace. Let's do maybe this one. This orderly here. So something orderly. So something D-Y. If something is really orderly, it means that kind of everything is in its place. And this is an adjective. This is an adjective. I mean, both of these words, but yeah, these are this word we might use specifically when we were talking about maybe a room or something like that. Yeah, kid is pretty informal. Yeah, so if you were writing an essay, especially, or maybe a formal like email or something like that, some sort of formal task, you would not want to use the word kid. Yeah, so yeah, so it's a good word to know, but yeah, you can't use it all the time. This is very informal. Yeah, so child would be better, right? Child, for example, or, you know, children obviously is plural, right? But yeah. Yeah, so that everything is at its place. We would use this for describing a room, for example, where everything is really, like, everything is put away, right? We would use this room to describe a room, for example, or a place, maybe. Yeah, usually a room, maybe in a house or something. Describe a room where everything is clean and in its place, basically. So we see it on YouTube. We have it on YouTube. Let's see if we can get it anywhere else. Another word too that would be like neat as well, right? And actually there's this kind of like a collocation that we would use here. We would use these words together, actually. We would say something and wait, neat and whatever this word is. That is a very common sort of pairing of words that we would use together. So yeah, so tidy is what that's gonna be. So tidy. So neat and tidy. Everything is neat, was neat and tidy. Everything was put in its place. Maybe it was immaculate. So extremely tidy and clean. Everything is super super clean. Yeah. All right, so great job there. What else do we have there? I don't think we're gonna get this one, but I think we can get this one though. The stage work. So a stage here, this is a place where you would, this is kind of like a reference to a theater or something like that. So it's, you know, a stage, for example. So we're thinking about maybe like a theater. We're thinking about some sort of work, something that would happen on a stage. So something work that would happen on a stage in a theater, basically, I would think. Yeah, something that would happen, type of work. You know, you might have like, you know, you would have all the people that would get together. They would you know, remember their lines, and they would get all dressed up, kind of, and then they would like, you know, do their thing on stage. Here's kind of a picture of these people kind of doing this activity on a stage. Yeah, any ideas what this might be? I know that this word is a noun, right? This word is a noun, obviously. This word is a noun, right? But remember that we can take basically the ing form of verbs, right? And turn them into nouns. So that might be a really useful clue here about what this word is going to be. Yeah, so see it on YouTube. We have it on YouTube. Let's see if we can get it anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not. I mean, they could be singing, I suppose. They could be dancing, but usually acting would be something that would happen on stage, right? So let's put that in here. Perfect. Awesome. Great job. And let's see, what else can we get here? I think we can get this one. This tour leader. Tour leader. So obviously a tour usually is some sort of, where somebody, it's something that you might do while you're on vacation, for example. Maybe you are taking a trip, right? You go someplace and then you want to maybe see the sights in your destination, right? So this is a trip you take basically to see the sights in a new location, basically. And when I say like a trip, I mean like, you know, maybe you walk, maybe it's on a bus or something like that, right? And then there's always this person basically who will basically lead this little trip. And they will stand at, you know, maybe they will be at the front of the bus, for example, or they will be at the front of the walking group, and they will give information, details about what's happening, and they will basically tell the group what's happening, right? So there's a person who leads the trip. This person tells the group about what they're seeing and gives information. Yeah, so we see it on YouTube. We got it on YouTube. Let's see if we can get it anywhere else. Yeah, so that person, yeah. Or maybe at a museum too, art museum, or maybe more like a history museum. They would bring you around, give you information. Anyways, yeah, that's gonna be the guide. Or the tour guide, right? So let's put that in here. All right, awesome. Great job. What else can we go here? Let me know while I'm thinking about which one to do next. When you take a trip, do you like to do tours led by guides, you know? Do you actually like to do that kind of thing? Or do you prefer to avoid that type of activity. Because I know some people love to take guided tours and things like that. They really enjoy it. But I also know plenty of people who they would not be into that, even in the slightest. They prefer to just do their own thing. Yeah, so let me know if you like to take guided tours whenever you are traveling or in a new place. And let's see, let's do maybe, I think we could do this one, this bring together thing. Maybe, or what else is here? Bit of humor, try out, make fun of, defeated, but barely. Yeah, let's do this one. All right, bring together. So bring together, UN, something. No, there you go. Yeah, so here this bring together. We kind of maybe mean like to maybe gather together, like gather people together maybe. For maybe an activity or something like that. Maybe not necessarily like, maybe not necessarily literally, but this is kind of a formal word. It means to, you know, bring things together. You can also bring something together whereas they merge together as well. And the two things become like one, if that makes sense. Yeah, so you see it on YouTube. Yeah, so maybe to gather people together, or we can also use this word to refer to two things becoming one thing. Yeah, that's gonna become unite. Exactly. So if you bring people together, you unite them together. Maybe you unite them together under a common cause, for example. Yeah. Maybe you bring them together, you unite them to get support, something like that. We might use it. I think we're gonna get, we might get this. We'll come back to this one. What else can we do? Straight. Make fun of. Commentary piece. Try out. I think we can do this one. Let's do this one. So this try out. Try out. So if you try out something, you maybe test it, right? To test it. Right? Obviously, we can see we have like a three-letter word, right? This is a very basic, very simple word. To try something out, to test it, you might like, say for example, you know, if you were buying a chair, for example, right? You might want to try it out, right? So you would go to the store, you would sit on the chair, right? You would sit on the chair to test it, or really simply you would like, you know, you would sit in it, you would get a feel for what it's like to actually, it's hard to do this without using the word. But you would try it, right? Get a feel with what it is like, right? Or if you were buying a vehicle, for example, right? You might try it out, you might take it for a drive, you might operate the car, right? So you would drive it, or you would run it, right? So also to get a feel for, you know, if you like it or not. if it feels like it's a good fit for you or something. Yeah, so try out to test it, maybe like so for example, driving a car before you buy it, or sitting in a chair before you buy it. You know, all of these things, right? People typically like to be able to handle and operate, feel, see whatever they are getting before they buy it, right? So there's a very simple 3-letter word. I'll give a hint. It starts with a U. It starts with a U. And one of the downsides of online shopping is obviously you do not get an opportunity to do this before you purchase, right? What ends up happening is maybe you buy it, then you get it, then you try it out, realize you don't like it, and then you have to send it back, right? So, but yeah, I think this is going to be used. You're going to use something. So you're going to use it before you try it out, or before you buy it, right? So to try something out, to test it, you're going to use it, right? You're going to use the car before you buy it, or you're going to use the chair before you buy it. And again, we don't get to really do that if we're online shopping, right? So you would have to buy it, then you would use it, and then if you decide that you don't like it, you have to return it, right? So yeah, so that's definitely a thing. A bit of humor. To make fun of, I think we can get this one. To make fun of something. Or actually, it's usually, you usually make fun of someone. This is something that people do to other people. And if you make fun of someone, basically, maybe it's almost like a joke. You're kind of like making a joke about someone. And it's not always a good thing either, right? So usually if you make fun of something, it's not a nice thing to do, right? But we're basically looking for a word that might mean that. We're looking for a verb that we would use. Yeah, basically, you know, you might laugh at them. We can do this thing as well because you like a person, like in a joking way. Some people do this a lot, but you could also do this in a kind of a negative way, right? Like, kids might do this verb about other kids, for example, because maybe they have weird hair or they don't like their clothing or something. So kids will make this word may something other kids because they don't like something about them, like their hair or their clothes, for example. Yeah, so usually it's kind of a negative thing. Yeah, so if you have any ideas what that might be, this T word, but kind of like a joke. Maybe they're like pointing or laughing at the person or something like that. So I think this word is going to be tease. You would tease someone. You would make fun of them. So kids might tease other kids to make fun of them, pick at them. Here's kind of an image. Let's look for an image. Here all these kids are kind of like pointing or laughing at this poor one in the middle. Looks like they are teasing him. So they're making fun of him and he's obviously not enjoying it. But you can tease people in like a joking, lighthearted way as well too. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a negative thing. You know, so, but yeah, so to tease somebody, that's what that's gonna be. What else can we do here? Commentary piece. Do you guys ever read like, well, in the newspaper or whatever like that, a commentary piece? Basically like these pieces where people might write in, or maybe they will have people might write in and maybe they will talk about one of the issues that came up in an article or something like that, or maybe they'll talk about an issue that is sort of relevant right now in like the news cycle. Yeah, we're looking for like a name of those kind of pieces, so a commentary piece. So this is gonna be like a two word. This is a bad one to do. This is like a 2-word thing, but this is a type of commentary piece in a newspaper where people will comment on, you know, recent news articles or events, things like that. And they kind of do it, it's like they do it because they want to share their opinion basically about something. And there is like a word for that. It's kind of like 2 abbreviations too. So, it's kind of like a letter to the editor, basically. A letter to the editor, basically. So we may or may not know it. Let's like look in here. But for example, like The Guardian has them. I don't know if the try to see like, but yeah, that name of that's basically of one of those pieces. Anyways, this was gonna be this was gonna be the op-ed, an op-ed. So an op-ed, there we go. An op-ed is an opinion piece by a guest writer that makes a clear argument about a topic, usually in the news. So usually they're writing about something that recently came up in the news. Oh, and the name is derived from the traditional placement of these pieces opposite the editorial page of the printed newspaper. Okay, so that's interesting. But yeah, this is going to be an op-ed. Be like that. So those opinion pieces, an op-ed. Yeah, okay. All right, anyways, I think I wanted to get to this one. We're gonna see if we can do this one. So this is a funny looking word, right? This divvying. So to divvy something, we say to divvy up something. To divvy up something. And if you divvy up something, that means that you divide it into pieces. divide something into pieces. So for example, if you had a cake or something, you might divvy it up into pieces so everybody could get a piece of that cake, right? And actually that hint is kind of a good hint because it kind of gives us whatever this word is, actually. So I'm just trying to get us a picture here. Here we can see this person is like, this person is taking this cake, they are divvying it up, they are dividing it into multiple pieces so everybody can get a piece. So this word here, whatever this word is going to be, something, new word, up. And we can see here too that we have this ing form here, right? So this is probably going to be an ing here as well. So we basically just need this word here, whatever this verb is for cutting, using, you know, cutting something to divide it up. So if you have an idea, here, this is a good one, actually. This is probably even a better one. Same guy, but we can see that he's now using the knife to cut it, right? Yeah, so see it in YouTube. Let's see if we can get anywhere else. I don't think nobody's playing anywhere else. But I like to give people a chance. Someday people will be playing everywhere. It'll be great. Yeah, so this is gonna be slicing up. So slicing up, exactly. So if you slice something up, you divvy it up, cut it into pieces, basically. Divide it. And I think too, as just so you know, like divvy, like to divvy up, I think that's pretty informal. I should double check, but you divvy up something. Yeah, it's very informal. So just an FYI. To divvy up something. Very informal. So it would be much more formal to just say divide something, for example. But yeah, pretty informal, I think. Anyways, and usually we do it too so you could share something among multiple people as well too. So yeah, you do it to share something. All right, anyways, enough about that. Let's see if we can do this one, this little bit of humor, since now we have like the first two parts. Basically, sort of a type of, almost like a joke, right? We might even refer to it as, you know, a comic might do a bit or something like that, or a comic might do this. So basically a joke. Yeah. So, let me know if you have any idea what that may be. Usually something that's, you know, it's like a funny, maybe a funny joke or a funny story, right? Something like that. It's done to make people laugh, basically. A joke, a funny story, or maybe a funny, I don't know, act that's makes people laugh, basically. Yeah, we see 3 letters. I kind of really want some cake now. After that picture. Anyway, so this word is going to be a gag. A gag is gonna be our little kind of amusing trick or our amusing story. Something like that. So, you know, it might be common for, you know, comics would maybe do certain gags or something, or maybe they would do certain gags in, like on TV shows or something like that, right? So, basically like little jokes or something. So, here we go. He used to write gags for a talk show host. So, you know, like the late night talk show people, they tell a lot of jokes, right? They do a lot of gags, right? We say to do a gag. That would be like the verb that would collocate with that. But yeah, okay. What else are we gonna do here? Dun, dun, dun. So we have a sleep spot. Let's do this one. So our sleep spot. So spot here, it's gonna be a place for something. So a place, so sleep spot, a place for sleeping, basically. I think this one's pretty easy. So let's see if we can get it. So place, you know, very common place in the home, right? For example. Get all like snuggled in with your like the covers and things like that. Let's see if anybody gets it. I'm just gonna, and then I have a picture to share of this place. Did I put a D at the end of it? A B, sorry, D. Oh gosh. Here we can see that there's a D. Sorry about that. But yeah, place for sleeping. Kind of like one of these guys. So we have, right? We have bed, right? And we can see here, yeah, let's talk about the bed for a second. Let's talk about some of the vocabulary about the bed. So this one here, it has a very distinct headboard. So the headboard is like the part that goes behind your head against the wall. Right, and then we can see here we have a couple of pillows, right? Right, pillows. Some people will call the sheets, they'll call them linens. And linens are usually the lighter bed sheets. So for example, there's usually a light, like a fabric, like a sheet with lightweight fabric over the mattress, for example, right? And then maybe there's like a few that would kind of be in contact with your skin, right? I don't know if this one really has, but usually that outer color, the outer cover, the one that goes over top of everything, might be called a bedspread. So a thick cover that goes over top of all the sheets, for example. All right, it's kind of almost like a protective cover or something like that. So that would be the bedspread. because it's like one word. Bedspread. And you could refer to all of these as the cover. The covers. The linens and the bedspread as the covers. Yeah, so just some language about that. Sometimes people ask me, like, how do you talk about the sheets on the bed? So there you have it. That is how we can kind of talk about the sheets on the bed. There's also the mattress as well, right? And this lower part here too, the bed frame, we might call it a box spring. The bed frame. So the box spring basically sits under the mattress, and all of that goes on top of the bed frame that lifts it kind of off the floor typically. Anyways, all right. So let's move on then. What else can we do here? Yeah, let's do this one. Straight. So this is an adjective, right? An adjective. Basically an adjective that means straight, where everything is kind of in a row. Basically, they kind of line up perfectly. We might say, and there's going to be a D here. So something, I-G-N-E-D, I think. Yeah, so let me know if you have any idea what this might be. I'm gonna try to get us a picture. I can get a good picture. We might often use this word when we're talking about text or design or things like that. Like, we can see that all of these columns, they're like in a row, right? One is over top of the other, right? Or this text here, right? But, you know, if I were to like indent this, now all of a sudden these are not in a row, right? They're not lined up, right? So I kind of, so these are whatever this word is, and then this one is not. so yeah, so you have an idea what that might be. Yeah, so we use this word often for talking about text or for designing things, right? You might have like elements on a page and you want to make sure that they are all like lined up, basically. Whatever this word is, we would use, especially in, you know, design programs and things like that. So this is going to be, this word is going to be aligned. We can see here, these are aligned, these texts here, these are aligned, these text boxes. This one is not aligned. So aligned. So when they're all aligned, they're all straight, and when they're not aligned, they are not straight. All right, what else can we do here? We're not gonna do this one. We do this one. I think we could just do this one really, really quickly. This reduced amount. So obviously something is reduced. There is not as much of it was before, right? Right, so we're basically looking for, looks like I'm basically kind of looking for a, is it an adjective, an adverb? That's a good question. It's an adverb. Adverb. Determiner. Well, yeah. Pronoun. Adverb. Basically the opposite of more, right? Right? If there is like a, maybe like a excessive amount, there might be more that you would need. But here we want the reduced amount. We want the opposite, right? Reduced amount. So there is not as much as there was before, right? So very common word that we use when we're making comparisons, right? So you have an idea. You have an idea. Don't be shy. Put it in the chat. Again, you can see where to play at the bottom of the screen. We are on Facebook. There's Twitch. There's YouTube as well. I'm in all three of these places right now. So a reduced amount. Yeah, very common word that we use when making comparisons, right? We might say like there are more people than yesterday. We could say there are whatever people than yesterday, the opposite, right? So not as many, basically. So I think this is going to be less. It's going to be less. Our reduced amount is going to be less. So let's put it here. So we got less here. All right. Reading aids. Some messages. Making more exciting. Guitar booster. Month. I think we could do this one. These reading aids. So we can see that there's an S here. I'm going to put an S here. So obviously reading an activity. An aid is something that helps you do something, right? So we're looking for some sort of device, some sort of basically a device or a tool or basically an object that would make reading easier. All right, so something that would make reading easier. And a little bit of an extra hint, I think this is a piece of furniture. This is a piece of furniture. So furniture. And notice here too how I said a piece of furniture. I didn't just say like this is a furniture. Because furniture is always uncountable, so we always have to quantify it somehow. So we would say a piece of furniture or a type of furniture. We could not say it is a furniture. That is incorrect. We could not say that. So I'm gonna exit out. There we go. Everything will be X'd. Yeah, so this is a type of furniture that we might use for reading. And we would use it at night. We would use this piece of furniture at night. So at night you might have one of these. So, and actually, I think if we go back here, so we could kind of actually see here in this picture with the bed, we have this object over here. It's a light, right? And we might use that light if we were reading at night, right? Maybe we're reading before bed, or even, you know, maybe it just gets dark, right? I know here in Canada, especially this time of year, it gets dark pretty early. It usually it's dark before 5, so like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So we would use various alternative light sources to do things, right? Such as for reading. So a light, so we're basically looking for another word for this thing here. So we can see that there is an L here. So this is going to be a lamp. So we would use lamps. Lamps would be our reading aids. So let's put that in here. Some lamps. And then like some messages. So some messages. So we're talking about like a type of communication, right? A type of communication. We can see that it starts with an E. Other types of communication could be like, I mean, you know, a letter could be a type of communication. Phone calls could be something. Phone calls, maybe. Obviously, we want something that starts with an E here. I will give you a hint too. This is a type of digital communication, or a digital message, type of digital message. So for example, you might get like an SMS. Those are the ones directly to your phone. Or a text message, right? And then this one's a little bit more, I'm gonna call it a little bit outdated, because I feel that it seems like young kids in particular, young people, they don't necessarily even always use this, right? But this would be a very common form of messaging, especially if you have a business or something like that, or a company, right? You would have some sort of provider, people would send you your information, you would have it in your inbox. I think this word is going to be email. So email, some of our messages are going to be email. And let me know too if you are, let me know if you like to use email. Do you use email a lot? Or do you tend to avoid email? Do you prefer other forms of communication instead? I don't use a lot of email. I prefer other methods, but I do have an email. I do have multiple emails. Yeah. What else can we do here? Snail trail. Let's see here. So ward workers. Oh, okay. Let's do this one here. This is kind of a device that you would use. So what does it mean to boost something? A guitar booster. So guitar obviously is an instrument. And you know there are acoustic guitars, right? Acoustic guitars that you can hear without needing any additional equipment, right? And then there are electric guitars that you need to plug into something in order to hear them well. All right, so we want whatever this is. That's gonna boost the sound, to boost something here, to boost a sound. Basically means to make it louder. So we're gonna like boost our guitar so everybody can hear it. We can play it really, really, really loudly. Something, our 3-letter word. Yeah, there's a piece of equipment that we would use. I'm gonna get a picture. Also too, this is an abbreviated word. It's short for a much longer word. So I'll tell you that as well. It's basically one of these guys here. We can see this here. You would plug your guitar into, and then that would make the sound a lot louder. So this is an amp. a guitar amp, or which is short for amplifier. And this device amplifies the sound. So it makes it louder. That is the verb here. All right, so we want to use our amp to amplify the sound of the guitar. That is the guitar, that's the thing we would use to boost the sound, our guitar booster. All right, let's do this one. Maybe tickles a snail trail. This could be a kind of a new interesting word. So a snail is like a little, it's not quite an insect. Is it an insect? I don't even know what it is. But it is one of these guys. They have like a little shell. You might find them in gardens. So here we go. Here is a snail. And we typically say that you can't really see it in here, but they will leave sort of a sticky trail behind them. I'm trying to see if I can get a picture. We would say that they leave a trail. You can kind of see, like, in this picture here, this guy has left a trail of whatever this weird gooey substance is. That weird gooey substance is the word here. And we may or may not know this word. It's kind of a word for like a sticky liquid substance that is kind of not nice to touch, right? Maybe it would be produced by like fish, for example, or something like that, but yeah, snails for sure. We might also say that, like, you know, for example, if your bathroom is kind of like maybe you need to clean it and there's sort of like liquidy, sticky substance maybe around the shower or something like that. Maybe something like that. Anyway, so this word though, this is slime. The name of that sticky substance is gonna be slime. Yeah, so sticky, that kind of gross thing. Yeah, so we say that snails leave a trail of slime. All right, so we got that there. Dun, dun, dun. What else is here? I wonder if we know this, one. Okay, so another handy thing too about this crossword is sometimes there are patterns in it. So here, for example, we have this word slicing up, this really long one here, slicing up. This one here too, I think, is going to be a phrasal verb. It's going to end in up. We also have ing here. So there is a sort of a phrasal verb we use to talk about making something more exciting. SP something something ing up. Actually, let's just focus on like the base verb, maybe to sp something c. There would be an e here, so the e is removed because we have an ing here. But yeah, you would say yeah, basically if you do this, you kind of make it a little bit more exciting. Yeah, you would add something to it to make things a little bit more interesting. Yeah, so if you guess, this might be something. So phrasal verb, talk about making something a bit more exciting. We would say to spice up something. Spice up something. Make it more exciting. So let's put spicing up here. To spice up something. Let's put it in an example way. Here's an example sentence just so we can see how we might use it. So Ty is always looking ways to spice up a recipe. So looking for ways to make it a little bit interesting, or maybe like, you know, I am looking to spice up my life a little bit, looking to make it a little bit more exciting, do something a little bit different. So yeah, so that could definitely be something. To spice up something. Let me know, is there anything that you tried to spice up recently in your life? What did you do? What did you change? Or maybe there is something that you're bored with that you would like to spice up in your life, maybe. So what else do we have here? So we have here this tease. You can see that this is us. We're gonna put an S here. And we have tickles, which also has an S. So this probably also has an S. Dainty drinks. Pressed. Yale Router. Nova Network. Okay, so this word here, this dainty drink. Dainty drinks. So something dainty, it's kind of like small, kind of. Maybe a little delicate, maybe. Maybe you're moving really carefully. And here we're talking about this is a little bit deceptive, this drinks here, because we can think about drink as being something that you would drink, like a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of Coke or a can of Coke. Those are all examples of drinks, right? Or, you know, even just like a glass of milk or something like that. I think we're talking about how we drink, though. So, for example, you might gulp a drink. That would be to, like, drink a lot of it at once. So you might take big gulps of something. Gulps. So take big gulps of something, but this is the opposite. We're gonna take like little bits of drink. Of, you know, of water. So we're looking for a word that means to take a little bit of water at a time. So not a big amount, but a little bit a time. And we can see here there's going to be like, it has a P, right? Yeah, so for like a little bit of water or a little bit of drink. Kind of like what I just did right now. So this is going to be sip. This is going to be sip. You would take a sip of a drink. That would be like a very dainty little tiny amount. So there's going to be sip. And thinking about words about how to, about drinking, thinking about our previous, or one of the ones that we just looked at, this with the slug, with the slime, right? That is also another word. We can also use slug as a verb. To slug a drink, usually for an alcoholic drink. And it usually means to take like you would like take the whole thing and you would swallow it at once, basically. To take a drink, an alcoholic drink all at once, kind of, basically. Usually a strong alcoholic drink as well. So for example, here in this example, you know, I had a slug of vodka to give me courage. So I basically I had a shot of vodka. We would say I downed a shot. So basically I basically drank the entire thing at once. This is also a very, very informal, very slang way of speaking, but yeah, we could slug a drink as well. We would take a couple slugs of beer, for example. I took a couple slugs of beer. Yeah, so again, like a couple really big drinks, really big gulps. So that is something we might say as well. All right. Let's see if we have some T's. Let's do this one. So if we are depressed, we are feeling sad. Word for feeling sad, basically. If we are depressed, that's a very like severe form of sadness, right? And there's kind of a way that we might refer to it. We might say to be whatever this is. This is basically going to be an adjective. We would say to be whatever this is. And I know it's kind of tricky because I'm using it as an adjective. Often we will also, this word is more commonly used as a noun and a color. A noun and a color. We'll use it as a noun in a second once we get the word. If you think that you might know it, put it in the chat. Again, you can play at any of the places listed below. Oh, I hope you can see all of this. I think kind of. I have that little coffee cup. I guess I need to move him. He gets in the way. My friends and I really like the coffee cups. So, I don't know. Here we go. Yeah, this is gonna be blue. So you could say that, you know, I'm blue today. Usually it's a bit more common. Let's just put it here. So feeling blue. It would be more common to say like, you know, I'm feeling blue today. We might say something like that, or I'm a bit blue today. And we would say to have the blues. We could say that. So they're using it as a noun here, that we would also say that, again, kind of informally, to say that you're sad or you're depressed. Yeah. All right. So we got that here. I don't know if we're gonna get this, but I think we can get this here, this tickles. Tickles. So tickle is usually like a tickle is usually when you touch somebody and then it makes that you touch them lightly with your fingers, and then they kind of have like their body kind of has a reaction to the feeling, and it makes them laugh usually. It makes them, you know, it makes them laugh. So that is typically the use of the word tickle. This one here is a little bit different, but typically to tickle means, yeah, you touch somebody lightly with your fingers, right? Maybe like their ribs or maybe their feet. And that would make them kind of feel a little bit weird, and usually they laugh as a result, right? So, so here, for example, I tickled her feet and she laughed. So that is like the typical use of the word tickle, right? But we could also use the word tickles, like if something tickles you, you find it funny or it makes you happy, right? And there's kind of like, let's see if I can use this in a, I wouldn't necessarily like use this, but we would say, you know, this is something that we say. I was tickled pink to hear the news. So I was tickled pink. I was extremely happy. Happy to hear the news. So yeah, so we're basically looking for a verb here. Something, something, something. Something, something. A word that means to maybe like make someone laugh, basically, or something that makes you laugh, that you find really funny, that you find really hard to say without using the word, but something that makes you laugh, that you find very very funny, very kind of enjoyable, maybe. Yeah, because if something tickles you, it kind of makes you feel, you might be like, laugh, you have a very positive reaction to it. Anyways, I think this word is going to be amuses. So amuse, something that amuses you, tickles you. So something that amuses you, tickles you, or it makes you laugh. You think it's really enjoyable. I think it's really funny. Yeah. I think usually we know this word, or we use this word more often in its like the participle adjective form, like, you know, it was an amusing film, for example. It was a really funny film. It really made me laugh a lot, right? Right, something of music is really like fun, kind of pleasurable in that way, right? Yeah, so I think that's what that's gonna be. This here, this word worker. A word is something that you will find in a hospital. A hospital is usually divided. So it is part of a hospital. So we're looking for the name of people. We can see here that there's an S on it. We're looking for the name of people that basically work in a hospital. So something S. The name of people who work in a hospital. So people who work in a hospital, basically. They have lots of wards in the hospital. Yeah, so that's going to be nurses, exactly. So nurses, they're going to work in the hospital along with doctors and surgeons, maybe. Doctors and surgeons. Great. And let's see what else we can get here. don't know what this is. Permit. So we can read this word here, this permit, we can read it two ways, right? We can put the accent on the first here. Oh, how to do that? Permit. So a permit, basically a piece of paper that's officially says you can do something. God, go away. What is this? So a piece of paper that basically officially says that you can do something. So you would get a driver's permit, for example, but you could also use it, like put the accent on the end, right? Permit. And now it's a verb, right? To permit someone to do something, you know, to allow them to do something, right? Yeah, and this is going to be you let somebody do something. To let someone do something. Awesome. And just a second here. All right. So you're going to let somebody do something. I don't know if we're gonna get this one. If you've been following me though, if you've been following me on social media, like if you follow my Instagram, I think I put this word in a post the other day. Because I was doing posts about food. Because I read this article about eating insects or something, so I made a couple Instagram posts about kind of advanced words we could use for talking about food, and this one came up. P-I-C-A something T-E. So let me know if you were paying attention. This is a word. Salsa is kind of a, it's almost like a dip that you would use for nachos. Just gonna get a picture really quickly. So here is a picture of nachos. Some nachos and a salsa here. And this word here, because salsa usually has chilies in it. So it can be hot. And this word is kind of for like, it kind of means that it's pleasantly hot. It's like pleasantly spicy. Yeah, so this is gonna be piquant, exactly. Yeah, piquant. Yeah, something piquant. It's funny, it's not even in the dictionary here. So piquant sauce. Yeah, it's a Spanish word. Yeah. And so we'll use it in English as well too. Oh, that's interesting. So they're saying it's picante, but I hear people say it as piquant as well. So that's kind of interesting. You know, native English speakers butchering the language, like words that come from other languages, right? But yeah, so piquant or picante, that's gonna be that word here. Yeah, exactly. So spicy. Okay. And what else here? So we're almost done here, which is really great. Lengthy discourse, company, big word. Let's see when we can get here. Pardon. Okay, let's do this one. So uses a needle. Uses a needle. A needle is, you would usually use with thread, right? I'm trying to get a picture. This uses a needle. This is to do with maybe making clothes or something out of fabric. So a reference to making something with fabric. So, and here, for example, here's probably a good picture. We have, you can see like the needle here, right? And then we have some spools of thread. So we have a needle with spools of thread here. So we're looking for a verb here. So that would be the verb that we would say for doing this action, basically. If we see it starts with an S here, something. Basically, to use a needle and thread, basically to put pieces of fabric together, right? So whatever that verb is going to be. Yeah, so that is going to be sew, right? And obviously we can sew by hand, right? Here we can see this person. This person, we would say, this person is sewing by hand, right? But we could also use here we go, this person. We can say, yeah, so this person is sewing by hand. We can see that this person is using a sewing machine. So this is a machine that we might use for sewing, but yeah. So they're using the thread, doing that sort of thing. What else can we do here? I think we could do this one here, this company big wig. Company big wig. So a big wig is kind of the name of somebody very, very important. This is very slang. So it's a very important person. This is slang. But we're basically looking for the name of, yeah, the name of somebody, like a very important person at a company. Maybe somebody sort of the head of the company. So maybe somebody who is the head, or maybe there are a group. Usually it's a group of people that sort of are the leaders of the company, basically. And this is it's an abbreviation for a larger word, I should say too, or for a longer word. So this is an abbreviation for a larger word, if that helps. But basically the leader of a company. So kind of like maybe like the CEO, for example, that would be the head of the company. But yeah, maybe there is like one person, or typically sort of like a group of people. Of course, obviously, we only want one word here, so, but usually there's kind of a group of them. And it's typically like a business term, maybe in big firms or something. A bunch of people in suits that basically dictate what happens. They have oversight, we would say, oversight over the company. Anyways, so one of these people would be an executive, or an exec, I think is our word here. An exec, the execs at the company. So those are going to be, so an exec is going to be a company bigwig, somebody very important. Yeah, so the exec. All right. And what else can we do here? I think we can get this one here, this pardon. A pardon. So we could, a pardon, you basically kind of, you forgive somebody. So basically to pardon someone, means you forgive someone for something they did or said, something like that. So we're basically looking for, I guess, like a synonym here. EX something 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 something. Actually, I wonder what this is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is what I thought it was. Yeah, basically it's a pardon them or something like that. Forgive them. This word is a lot more common than this one. And it would be very, like, it's very common to say this as part of a phrase. We would say, this me, for example, if you made a mistake, for example. So yeah, so this is gonna be excuse. So excuse me. Basically, if we're saying, you know, excuse me, you're asking that person to pardon whatever you did. So excuse me for being late. Can you forgive me for being late? Can you pardon me for being late? So let's put that in here. Oh, we're so close to being done. I think we could do this one, this last part here. This last part. So obviously the last, something last is the opposite of the beginning, right? So something last is the opposite of something at the beginning. So we have this E, something, something. Pretty basic word, kind of like for, you know, finish as well too. Maybe like the finishing of something, maybe. Yeah, this is gonna be end. So the last part is gonna be an end. So let's put that in here. What is this one? Yeah, I might be able to get this one. What is this one? Lengthily. This, we're not gonna get this one. We might be able to get this one though. I know that we don't really do trivia here. I don't really do trivia, but there is one trophy, one award in particular that they give out every year for all, like, for all the best films in Hollywood, basically. I'm gonna get a picture of one of these guys. See if you know what it is. Yeah, it's gonna be a one of these guys. These little trophies here. It's an Oscar, exactly. So we have an Oscar. Let's put that here. And I wonder if we can... Let's do this one here. So look upon... So if you look upon something, you're kind of looking over something. So to look upon, you know, you're looking over something. You're basically able to perceive it with your eyes, right? Basically, so pretty basic word, like a basic sense word, right? One of the 5 senses, we would say. Yeah, this is gonna be C. So look upon is gonna be C. And let's see if we could do this one. Oh, we need this one too. Okay. Let's do this one. So to undermine something, I think I talked about this word in something I did recently. But basically, if you undermine something, you maybe do things that, like, you do things that cause an activity or an initiative to be not as strong, basically. So if you undermine something, you do actions that cause another activity or action to be not as strong, right? So yeah, so that is gonna be, exactly, that's gonna be, here we go, here's the official definition of undermine: to make someone less confident, less powerful, less likely to succeed. You kind of do it gradually, maybe because you're doing actions against them that kind of bring them down. So that's going to be weaken. Exactly. So we have weaken. We don't know what this is. That's fine. This is this luau thing. It's basically so a luau is kind of a sort of a dance gathering thing that they would do in Hawaii. Sort of a gathering with music and dancing on Hawaii. And there are these little instruments that they play. Almost like a tiny guitar. And this word is actually short for a longer word, but it's basically, yeah, they would play these little tiny guitars. I'm trying to get a picture of somebody playing one of these guitars. It's like a little tiny guitar. There it is. It's here. Yeah, so you have any idea what this little instrument is called? I will accept the short version or also the full version as well. We'll put it in here because I don't know what this is. But yeah, this little tiny guitar. I guess there's a couple different types too. Oh yeah, it's cool. So this little thing, this little guitar is called a ukulele. So this is a ukulele. I guess look at the pronunciation. It's a little weird one. Here we go. So a ukulele. Or they would just call it like a uke, I guess, an uke. But I would say just ukulele, but a uke. It's gotta be our instrument. And let's see if we can do this. So a T, so this T's, for example. So something, 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 something. We're basically looking for like whatever this word is. So a T, usually like a little golf, like you might use for golf, for example. They might use them in American football as well, but they're kind of these little wooden things. These little wooden things that you would use. You stick it in the ground, you would put the ball on top, and you would then hit the ball off of it as well. And this is kind of like a wood example of sort of a broader sort of word, like a broader category of like little things, because sometimes you will also use whatever this is to play games as well too. Like you can see here, I have no idea what this game is, but they have these little wooden pieces that you would stick into the hole and use it to maybe count points or something like that. Yeah, when I think about this thing, I think about card games and stuff too, but I'm not doing a very good, like, we're basically looking for like the name for these little things that you would use. Like, here's kind of another example too. They also have these little, it's like a card game that you might use here. So I will give you a hint. It starts with a P, P something. So all of these little wooden things are example of pegs. So these are pegs. So I'll put pegs in here. And hopefully we've done it. I think so. It's gonna be loud. It always plays music, and I don't know how to turn it off. It's very loud. You guys don't hear it, but I hear it. Anyways, so we did it. Great. Awesome job, guys. So thanks so much for playing. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your help. Super, super, super helpful. Yeah. I hope you learned some new words or new ways to talk about talking about things, or maybe some new ways to learn or new uses for some of the words that you already know. That's always helpful as well too. I will be back tomorrow for more crossword. I'm gonna be doing this tomorrow as well. I will be back tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. I'm gonna be a little tiny bit late tomorrow, but I will be online roughly at the same time. Just probably maybe like 5 minutes, a little bit late. Yeah, thank you, Adriana, for all of your help. This is really fantastic. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so I will see you all tomorrow then at 1300 UTC for another crossword. Also too, if you'd like any additional help or anything like that as well, or to do any classes or anything like that too, you're more than welcome to contact me. Either, I guess, here on Facebook. Telegram is the best place to contact me. But anyways, yeah. And thanks a lot then. So I will see you all again tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Have a great day.